Hi, I'm Milenia, your host of the podcast Radiant Living. I want to welcome you to a space where you will find conversations of testimonials of growth, inspirational stories that have helped me, and other stories that will sprinkle laughter, spice, and tears. This is a space where you will find tools that can help you navigate your wellness journey. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, welcome to Radiant Living with Elenia. Today, for this episode, is one of those where you have to take notes. You need to go and grab a pen, grab your notebook, and start taking notes because today my guest is very special. Her name is Ana Maria. She's here with me. Hello, Ana
Hi.
Maria.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. It's so nice to sit here with you.
Ana Maria is a life coach. She is fantastic, just to say the least. I'm going to start with that as an opening line. But to give you a little background of Ana Maria, she's been in the corporate world like for a long time. And then she's swift. Yeah, you shift to the entrepreneur life.
Exactly. Yeah, I decided that what I was doing before was no longer serving me. And after 15 years in the advertising business, I decided to become a life coach that really served my true passion, which is people.
Oh, you were in art. You were the art director
I was
of
the art director.
many companies, big agency names.
Big agencies like DDB and Y&R, and we would work with huge brands, and that's when I started feeling I can use my creativity for something more meaningful to me.
Okay. And this brings us to our main topic today. One of the things you do the best. This is manifesting, the art of manifesting. How did you encounter the world of manifesting at the beginning?
So I'll take you back to
Yes, please.
2015 when I was in New York working in advertising, living in my tiny apartment, and I was just so single. And it
So
was
single.
it was
Not
such
only single, but so
so
single.
single. And it was a big burden. I mean, they even did a TV show about it, Sex in the City,
Yes.
where statistics like, oh, it's 5-to-1 ratio women to men, and that was quite stressful, so much competition. Anyway, I was working a lot on myself during that time, and I happened to meet a chiropractor that I started seeing. And what was really intriguing about seeing this chiropractor is that she dealt with the energy that we store in our bodies, the trauma that we hold for years.
Yes.
So I was really intrigued by that. And I love that she talked about energy. And the first thing she said to me when I went into her office was, miracles happen here. So
Wow.
very quickly, she became kind of my spiritual guru and friend.
What a line to just like,
Yeah.
oh,
So I was
okay.
very curious. Okay, when is my miracle going to happen?
Mhm.
So I'd go to see her 3 times a week looking for this miracle. Anyway, long story short, she held a mini workshop for manifesting with a close knit of girlfriends. And that was the day where I made my first board. A year later, I came back to her and I said, my miracle happened. I met my future husband. And she said to
Wow.
me, no, you are the miracle. You were the miracle all along. And looking back on that vision board, I had put down a little line by the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun. And that was the song that I walked down the aisle to. So
No way. Wow.
so that was my first
Encounter.
encounter run-in with this incredible philosophy of manifesting.
And what is manifesting? Tell us.
So,
We need to learn.
manifesting is to make something happen, to bring a vision into reality. It's not wishful thinking. It's not magic. It's actually a science backed up process that includes visualization, affirmations, uh, intentional action, and aligned emotions.
Okay.
Later on, we're going to talk about the importance of our energy.
Wow. You are a witness of manifesting, of the power of manifesting. In the first part of how do you encounter it, you were saying like it's shocking, like it's surprising what this manifesting does.
Yes, and it does feel like magic. It
Yes.
does feel like, oh my gosh, it landed on my lap. But there is some science and background that we need to know and understand why this thing works.
When you're saying that, how does the brain reacts, or what does it happen with the brain in uh,
Right.
super general knowledge?
So there's a few
scientific,
things
yes.
that happen. By no means am I a neuroscientist.
No, but
I'll
just
explain in very simple terms. So when we manifest, there's a few things that happen in our brain. The first step is we need to have a clear focus. Look at it like our brain is our ally. Our brain will tell us, is on our side.
okay.
It wants to deliver. So we have a clear goal. And in our brain, we have a part that's called the RAS. And this is like the brain's filter that starts to eliminate what we don't need and
Okay.
pay attention and focus to the things that you do want. So, for example, you want to buy a red car. Suddenly, you're seeing red cars everywhere.
Yes.
That is the brain helping you.
Okay. Because we have a clear vision of what
Because
we want.
we have a clear vision and the brain wants to help us. The brain wants to deliver.
Okay. And how can we manifest? There are ways to do it, right?
So there's a few more things that happen with our brain that is our ally, is that we strengthen those neuro pathways. Think of it like, say you imagine yourself on a grassy field and there's tall grass everywhere and you start walking down. And the more you walk down this grassy field, the more clear the track is. And then it's just easier to walk. And that is exactly how neuro pathways work, is the more you say positive, I want this thing, the brain knows how to make those connections quicker.
Okay.
So then there's
Listen
that.
to this.
Yes.
I'm paying attention. I'm taking notes.
Then we have the dopamine, the feel-good hormone. This hormone is what fuels the action. This is what gets us up and going. And then there's the amygdala. That's the part of the brain that's responsible for keeping us safe, and it's where we have that fear. But with the dopamine, that eases that stress and anxiety.
Okay.
And then the prefrontal cortex is the decision-making part of the brain, where we start to align with our goal and really start taking action and making decisions and looking for those opportunities. So that's on a very simplified brain level.
No, but it's so interesting. It's, yes, as you say, it's not magic. It's
Yes,
like a
there's a
system.
reason.
Yeah,
there's a reason that our thoughts, our brains are the driver in this. It's not fairy dust.
Yes.
Also, we have this topic of energy. So we are all energy, and energy has different frequencies. Our thoughts are also energy, and they hold a frequency. Have it be a positive thought or a negative thought. Positive thoughts have a high vibration, and negative thoughts have a low vibration. So high vibration is like love, joy, peace, compassion, and negative is shame, anger, fear,
Fear.
guilt, etc. So imagine it's kind of like you are tuning into a radio station. If your station is a low vibe, you are going to tune into low vibe stuff.
True.
So that's the very simplified version of the way the energy works.
No, it's so interesting. And people might be wondering, how can we manifest? How can I manifest the things that I want if I have a vision, a clear vision of what I want? For example, for me, I manifested this podcast because I've been learning recently about it, about manifesting. But how can we do it? Tell our audience.
So there are a few different ways. The way that mostly people know is through the vision board. And so what is a vision board? It is a collection of pictures, words that we put on a piece of paper, but it's not just things, it's the feeling that we have when we get those things.
Okay.
So for example, I did this myself, and recently I saw a client do this. She put a picture of a man, she wanted to manifest a husband. And I started to dig a little bit deeper, like, why? Why do you want to get married? Why do you want a man? And she started to tell me that she wanted to feel peace
Mm-hmm.
and stability and imagine all the other things. And so I went a little bit deeper. I said, okay, what gives you peace? And she said, the ocean, a stable, clear ocean. And so I looked at her board, and then she had the guy and the ocean, because those are the feelings that she wants to have, is that peace. And if a picture of an ocean can do that, then it gets you in that vibration.
True.
So there's that. There's also, for blind people that can't do a vision board,
Mm-hmm.
you can do an audio board, which is simply recording on your
The
phone.
things
The things that you want.
like or that
And-
make you
And the
feel.
things that you want to feel. There's also another great tool that I use often, which is called scripting. And scripting is you take one page only, and you write down about the thing that you want as if it's already happened.
Okay.
And so I, for example, wrote down how I wanted the birth of my son to go. And to a T, it happened exactly how I wrote it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's something that's out of your control,
Mm-hmm.
because there's many other external factors.
True.
But I've used this method a lot, and it really works. And then another one that is a bit more risky that I did recently was record yourself as if you've gotten the thing that you were wanting to manifest.
Like it's
It's
already
done.
there.
So
It's done.
I passed my driver's license the other day. I recorded myself before the exam saying, I just passed. It went so well. I had an amazing instructor. He was so sweet, so loving. Because I was really scared I was going to get a very
You were
Swiss,
afraid of
strict
things,
guy.
yes.
And he ended up being a teddy bear.
Oh,
It was amazing. So
because you manifested.
because I
yes.
put my emotions in that, and it just changes your perspective.
Yes.
You start to see the love in the instructor's eyes and not the fear that I had before. So there's vision boarding, audio boarding, scripting, video, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Yes. No, but the power of a vision board is also when you're looking for these images that you are just taking your scissors and cutting and putting all together. It opens also a window of what you want. Is you don't limit yourself, because maybe for me I wanted a podcast, but it didn't stop there. It opened a whole new door and for other things that I wanted. So I started digging and bringing all the things that I really like. Okay, let's not go this is one of the laws of attractions. It's like, why would you limit yourself with, okay, I want a house, but a small house would be enough? No, get a big house. Get just not just to go,
Yeah.
yeah, get everything. When you speak to the universe, when you speak to a whole different power, it's like, why would you go less? And why would
Yeah.
you
And
like,
that's
oh, you need to like go and what do you want?
go big or go
Go
home. That's one of
totally.
the things is don't limit yourself to the small house or whatever,
Hmm.
because you will start to see that this dreaming big spills into other areas of your life too.
Yes, I wanted to get that. Like, how do you bring all this energy like for a house, but it's not also it's not only a house, it's like a home for my family. They
Well,
will grow. Like, how to bring that
that's
power?
that's the thing, is the feeling of why it's not just about the house, it's about the feeling that you have in that house. It's to gather family, it's to celebrate, it's to rest, it's so many other things. And we will start attracting that vibrational thing.
But it's so magical that what you said about your boy.
Yes.
Wow, it happened
Yes.
like that, and your driver's license. So yeah, I was gonna ask you like share a story, but you have
I have
plenty.
more. I have more, but later. Yeah.
No, please tell us more. Can you think of another story that has been like very close to your heart that happened to,
Well,
well, your husband? You found
my
love.
husband is what really showed me the power of manifesting. And it really felt like he landed on my lap, because he lived in Switzerland
And you were
and I
living
lived in New York.
at the time when you met.
And I was very confused that where is he? Am I going to find this guy in New York? No, he was in Switzerland.
Wow.
And
Overseas, like.
overseas. And so the way it happened was I did the board
Hmm.
at the end of 2015. On New Year's Eve, I was in Colombia with my family. And I said to them, hey, let's play a game and let's go around the table and declare what we want to bring in for the new year. And I declared, as embarrassing as it may sound, I said, I want to meet the father of my children. And, silence. Anyway, 10 days later, it was my birthday. And I got poked on Facebook, back when poking was a thing,
Yes.
by a boy I went to middle school with. I said, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this guy in 20 years. What's up? So
Like, what's going on? Like,
what's going
why
on?
did you poke me on
Yeah, you
Facebook?
poked me. And he was a successful entrepreneur. He was still in Switzerland. Wow, cool. Friend.
Hmm.
And then 2 months later, he says, hey, I'm in New York. Do you want to go out for dinner? And I said, yeah, of course. And I actually had a date with another guy that I did not want to go out with.
Oh,
Canceled that.
it was your perfect excuse. Your way out.
It was my perfect excuse. But it's an important moment, because you need to do what you want to do.
True. And why did you say yes if you didn't want to go out with the
Because
guy?
you
had nothing to do?
I was desperate, and I just wanted to see if maybe.
Okay.
But no. So I went out with my middle school friend, and we got on great. We went to a Jamaican restaurant. We sat next to each other. It was like full guard down. And I was really able to be myself, because it wasn't a date.
Yes.
And that was key in meeting him.
Beautiful.
And then, long story short, well, he went back to Switzerland, and he kept coming back every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And in 9 months, he proposed.
Wow, 9 months?
Yeah.
That was fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were convinced that he was gonna be the father of your children.
I knew it in my core. I knew it in my. I called my brother and I cried.
Oh.
He was like, "Why are you crying?" I go, "Because I've met him. This is it."
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that it's such a powerful
It's such a powerful
testimonial.
thing. Yeah. So I want to help people find their love, their passion, their whatever, because I
Yes.
know that it does work.
That drives you.
Mm, that
That is your
definitely drives me.
motor.
Yes.
Oh, and if people, that's on your personal life. But what about if I'm not happy at my job, if I'm working and this makes no sense, this
Right.
is not the way I envisioned like my career going,
Yeah.
but now I need to pay the bills, I need money, like how to create my dream job. Like
So I've
for
been there. I've been there. I was in a career for 15 years, and at the end I was miserable. And I took stock on, okay, what it is that I really care about? What are my values? What is it that the problem is that my values weren't aligned with the job I was doing.
but were you enjoying like before?
Before, I enjoyed it
Bef-
because it was a young person's job. You were at the office till midnight on the weekends, and it was fun and exciting. And but later on, you're like, this isn't for
Doesn't
me.
feel me.
And it's okay to change interests. It's okay to change goals. And it was time. And then I would think about, okay, what is it that fills us, and what is it that drains us?
So I think you said the key. What drains us?
Yeah.
Because if it's not serving us, if it's like rather you're in a negative side, you're just automatic,
Right.
just like living up.
And it becomes a slow death.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors like, oh, the golden handcuffs, it pays well, I have stability, this and that. But we have to take a risk, and we have to follow what we're good at and where our energy can take us, because that's the source of success.
Okay.
And
I'm listening.
and also
Yes.
talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk
It's a
about
good
it,
thing.
because somebody will say, oh, I know the HR of that company that you'd like to work at. So it's about declaring it, share it. Maybe not to your boss, but just
Yes.
talk about it.
And what do we need? What do we need to remove to succeed at manifesting? It's like because yeah, we want things. We have a visual of what we want, but in the back of our heads is something that it's not believing ourselves. Like, what do we need to remove? Like, get
So
rid of this, and that.
we need to remove our limiting beliefs. We are our worst enemy.
It hurts to hear it, but
It is.
yes.
But it's all in our. It all starts with our thoughts. So there's been a study where it shows that the human has 60,000 thoughts in a day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative thoughts, and 95% of those thoughts are repeated thoughts from the day before. So we are recycling this negative chatter to ourselves. So what we need to do is we need to start rewiring our brain. And it may feel like these thoughts are coming all at the same time, because it is very overwhelming, but we can actually only have one thought at a time. So with my clients, I help rewire your brain and overriding those negative thoughts, because we're in charge.
Yes.
We're the ones in charge. And also with manifesting, another thing is it's not about what we want. It's more about what we need to let go of.
True.
To make space for the things we want to bring in.
Could you give us an example or an exercise to do in our daily life to start achieving those goals?
This is something that I try to do every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about gratitude. So I wake up in the morning and I bullet point 3, 4, 5 things that I'm grateful for. Because here's the interesting part, is that the brain can't handle anxiety and gratitude at the same time. And anxiety is what comes when we're scared about the future.
Yes.
And so if we can think about what we do have, be grateful for what we do have, more of that will come. And our brain will start to notice these things more. So that's one exercise. Think, and if you can even write it down, even better, because it goes back to our grassy field. If you write it down, the groove becomes stronger, the path becomes stronger. And then another exercise I love is it's called positive journaling. And what that is at the end of the day, you write down all the great little micro positive moments that happen in the day in the order.
Could it be anything?
Could be anything. The barista smiled at you or anything.
I found tulips at the flower
Exactly.
shop. It was like
Anything.
where anything.
So
okay.
you write that down, and what it does is that your brain the next day will start to seek those things.
Okay.
The brain wants to see those things, and so that starts to fill you with more positive thoughts than the 60,000 negative thoughts.
True. Okay. So when we wake up in the morning, we write down the 3 or 4 things
Yeah.
that we're grateful for.
And it doesn't have to be big things. It can be like, crisp sheets.
Yes.
Or
The kids slept through the
kids
night.
sleep, or anything like, no hangover. Great. Anything. Just be grateful for what we have, because we forget
Yes.
how lucky we are.
You're a mother, and have you practiced some of these exercise with your kids sometimes or
I try.
not?
I try.
You try?
I try. It's, what did you love about today? The questions like that.
Yes.
And I even with my daughter, she sees me cutting things out, and
Oh.
I tell her, cut out what you like.
Mhm.
That's it. Cut out what you like. And she's like, ice cream, chocolate.
All the goodies, all the treats.
Yeah, she has the Co-op magazine, and
Okay.
she's just going at it in the sweet section. Yeah.
So cute. So cute. Okay, journaling, grateful. When you're talking about this, I think of the purpose of yoga, because to be present is part of it. And anxiety and fear are things that we cannot control. They're in the future, as you said. But to be present, to be aware, and to be conscious of the present time is what makes us grounded too. And it's what keeps us alive, because, okay, I cannot control, like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have an idea, but I'm not certain.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that. I didn't know a lot about manifesting, but I've been a yogini or practicing yoga for a long, long time. And I feel like we're so aligned in that, because I've been learning, but also it has reminded me of the things that I appreciate the most: time, mindfulness, consciousness. And it is so important. It is so important to have that in our lives. For me, it was a key to have you and talk, like, to learn from that. Also, you said that your motto is to help people. Have you had any bad experience that you was like, oh, maybe the person didn't get me?
Sometimes people get really frustrated. You know, they come to our workshops, and I get a phone call saying, the wedding didn't happen. I put all these bridal images, the ring, and it's not happening. And I understand that frustration. I've been there. And one thing I can say from myself is, one analogy is, thank God the exes didn't work out.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't have the man I have and the family I have. So it's good that I got dumped. Thank you. Thank you for dumping me, because the universe had something better for me. And we have to have trust and patience.
Patience is a value that we need to cultivate much more, because we live in a world that we want immediate response
Exactly.
to everything.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you open an account on Instagram and you want
a million
followers
yeah.
overnight.
And that's the thing, that's my approach when it comes to coaching, is it doesn't happen overnight. It's baby steps. baby steps that are fun, that pop that dopamine level up.
True.
And it is a journey, as cheesy as that may sound.
It is a
It is.
journey.
It is.
But it's not cheesy. I mean, that's what we're here for. It's our
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
It's a journey. Like Rome didn't happen
In a day,
in a day.
exactly.
So,
Right.
and I think for me, I would rather be doing baby steps than doing nothing at all.
Exactly. Yes.
I
And the baby steps accumulate to the big picture.
to the big picture. Totally. Yes. And what I learned from you when I first met you in on a workshop with Diana from Live in Geneva, when I explained to you what I really wanted, a podcast and like all my dreams and so many things that I am pursuing or about to pursue, I tell you like, but I'm scared. It's like it's okay to be scared. You just have to take one step and it's out there. You've already launched to the universe. It's
It's
there.
done.
It's
It's
done.
done.
And that shift,
Yeah.
that shift in my mind was like, thank you for that. I was like, I was in a in a state of just, I don't know how would you describe this, but just stuck, like routine, everything. I wanted to build things, but I was not doing much. I was just like, okay, maybe I get a call from somebody. Maybe
No one's gonna
somebody's
call.
gonna,
No
yeah,
one's gonna call.
somebody's gonna knock on my door.
Yeah.
Somebody will remember that I was working on television. Well, maybe, but I cannot wait until that happens. So that was a moment when it clicked. When it clicked, like, okay, I need to start doing something because it's there. It's there. If I'm nervous, do it nervous. If you're scared, do it scared. But just do it. Just do it. And I'm a big witness and a particular person to appreciate that. I'm so grateful for that, Ana Maria, because
Oh,
as
well,
I've said before, it's like, wow, you're also like a fairy godmother who came and just like, hey, wake up, get up, and do your thing.
yes.
Right?
No, and I remember filming you with the vision board, and you're like,
Mhm.
wait, who's seeing this? And I'm
Yes.
like, the
I
the,
was
the
scared.
world is. If you're scared to show it on a paper, you're scared to show it in the real world. But it was already, the message was already out there. You couldn't really take it back because the universe already heard.
No, and the frequency and the vibes, the energy starts flowing differently. Also, I've been doing these workshops with another colleague or another person, Stephanie from Harmony Works. And I asked her, like, Stephanie, why did you come to me and ask me to do a collaboration and work together? And she said, because I know you practice yoga somewhere else with another teacher. It's like, yes, but something from you gave me the confidence and I dared to ask you because of your desire of doing things, your drive to do things. I'm like, wow, that speaks loud.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something right. I'm being more transparent about the things I want. I started to talk about the things and make my vision clear. That is, it's not only I'm attracting all those things, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
No, and I remember you said, Ana Maria, all my yoga classes are full.
Yeah.
And it's because you were putting out this gorgeous energy. And I'd love to share with you an amazing study I found
Yes.
where they measured what is the highest frequency a human can give off. So what would you think is the highest frequency we give off?
Highest in as like love, as well, that could be one.
Love.
Love.
It's actually not love. It's authenticity.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And we are our most magnetic selves when we are authentic. And that's what was going on.
Yes.
So when it comes to collaborations or when it comes to finding love, you need to be your most authentic self.
True.
And it's not about, and do the things that you want to do, not force yourself to go to the sports bar because maybe the guy is there. Not at all. Maybe the guy will be at the workshop you go to because you enjoy it, but that's not the point. The point is to do the things that fill up your energy. And I experienced this because right before I met my husband, I immersed myself in a personal project, and I launched it a few weeks before I met him, and it was something that I was so proud to share and talk about. And that's what he found attractive.
Wow.
And he by no means is like me. We were very, very different people. He's a logical thinker. I'm a creative thinker. But he loved the way that I was talking about a personal project.
Because you were being authentic.
Yeah.
You were being yourself.
Exactly.
And that is, I think that is one of the most important things. To be authentic, to be transparent. And if somebody appreciates it, wow, I think you won the lottery.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
feels like that,
Right.
right?
Right. Because like you said before, in one of your other podcasts, is that life is long.
Yeah.
And if you're going to share your life with somebody, it better be with somebody that likes you for you.
Yeah, likes you for being you, and to grow together and to build a path together. That's the main reason. And how can Manifest help us to find real love?
So the first step is to be very clear with what it is that we want to attract, what it is that we want. And one person cannot give you everything. So we have to be very intentional and specific on what are the most important things that I need in a partner. So I've boiled it down to 6 non-negotiables.
Oh, cool.
And this,
I'll write them down.
Yeah.
Make your list.
Make your list.
6.
But they cannot be anything
No.
physical.
It could be
Family values, shared sense of humor, intellectual, whatever. Good communication. And it's very interesting doing this with men, because one of the differences I find really interesting about men and women is that men fall in love through their eyes and women fall in love through their ears.
Totally. Absolutely, yes.
So this is the problem with online dating, and it's just a very visual thing. But when we meet in person, it's an energy thing. It involves the senses, the pheromones. So it's way more complicated than just swiping left or right. But when you have these 6 non-negotiables, your brain starts to filter out, no, this.
It's easier to dismiss what you don't want
Right.
and to achieve what you want, right?
Right.
Wow. I'm writing all this down in my head because luckily I'm with the man of my life. I'm with the love of my life, and we've been together for so long. But every day we keep building this relationship now with our family, and it has evolved into something beautiful. And that's something that I'm always grateful for. Like, thank God I have partner in my life that shares a lot of interest in this. We're so different, but when I talk to him about like, hey, I want to do this podcast and I'm going to this workshop or of manifesting, it's like I'm gonna be famous. I joked about that. It's like, no,
Don't you?
Ilenia, I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful at what you do, at what your envisions are. Like do what makes you happy, but be successful at it. I'm like, thank you God for that. So it's
That's
so
beautiful.
important. It's so important to have somebody in your life, and if manifesting can help you to find the real love.
Yes, and it's not manifesting your other half.
No,
It's not a 50-50 thing. It's a 100-100.
a whole and a whole.
Exactly. And so that's why it's fine to be completely have different interests and do different things. but it's that support that you get from your husband that keeps that spark alive as well.
And Ana Maria, to wrap everything, we have the vision board for manifesting, the journal, and the things that we're grateful for in the morning. Do you want to add something to our episode, to our session?
Well, I would say hire me to help you get there.
Yes, tell us.
Because
Yes.
it's one thing to do the vision board, say the affirmations, do all these things, all the exercises, but it's another thing to have somebody by your side to support you throughout the process, because it is a process,
It is.
and to keep you accountable. And it's a different kind of relationship than with your friend or your family, because it's all about you. And I will never tell you what you should do. It always comes from you. You've experienced it. All these decisions that got you here were yours.
True.
And I was on the other side of the phone, celebrating your big or small wins, checking that you got the boom, got the mic. And it's nice to have somebody along with you to define those baby steps to get to your big picture.
Yes, because sometimes it's blurry, it's not that clear, and we always need support. And professional guidance is the best or one way to get there. So I definitely recommend to have a life coach. If it's Ana Maria, you're based in Geneva.
I'm based in Geneva, yes.
Okay.
But with Zoom, we can
With
be
Zoom?
anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. She has Colombian roots, so she also speaks Spanish, ¿cierto?
Claro que sí.
Oh, so good. Thank you so much for this.
Thank
One
you.
last question, Ana Maria. What is your motor?
My motor is to help people realize that they are the miracle. Just how this chiropractor showed me that we have everything within ourselves and we are actually the miracle.
We're miracle, living miracles. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so
for
much for
having me.
sharing this.
Thank you.
I hope you wrote down all the things because we're still learning. And this is the main purpose of the podcast, to make yourself and your life radiant.
That's right.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. See you soon.